Libra, January 2026. Claim your truth and end the indecision. Libra, January 2026 is your month to transform indecision into clarity, people-pleasing into authentic relating, and endless weighing of options into decisive action. Forget everything you've been told about needing to keep everyone happy. This isn't about becoming harsh or selfish. This is about recognizing that your incredible ability to see all perspectives becomes paralysis when you can't choose one. We're talking about the kind of month where your diplomatic gifts don't just smooth over conflicts, they create genuine resolution. Where your sense of beauty and harmony doesn't just make spaces aesthetically pleasing, it transforms them into places where people thrive. Where your relationship skills don't just keep peace, they foster authentic connection. Where your fairness doesn't just consider everyone's needs, it includes your own needs with equal weight. Imagine waking up every morning knowing what you actually want, not just what would make everyone else happy or what looks balanced on paper. Imagine making decisions confidently without agonizing over every possible angle for days or weeks. Imagine your relationships being genuinely reciprocal instead of you constantly adjusting yourself to maintain harmony. Imagine creating beauty and art without paralyzing self-doubt about whether it's aesthetically perfect. Imagine your natural charm and social grace serving authentic connection, rather than performance designed to be universally liked. Imagine saying no without guilt, yes without reservation, and expressing opinions without worrying about offending anyone. But here's the raw truth most astrologers won't say directly: your greatest gifts are also your potential prison. That incredible ability to see multiple perspectives. It becomes paralysis when you can't commit to any single viewpoint because you see validity in them all. That diplomatic nature. It becomes people-pleasing where you lose yourself trying to keep everyone happy while your own needs go unmet. That love of harmony. It becomes conflict avoidance where you sacrifice authenticity and suppress legitimate anger to maintain surface-level peace. That fairness. It becomes endless deliberation where you're so focused on being equitable that you never actually decide or act. That charm. It becomes performance where you're so busy being likable that no one knows the real you. Your desire for partnership. It becomes codependence where you don't know who you are outside relationships and will stay in wrong partnerships rather than be alone. January 2026 isn't asking you to become someone you're not. You'll never be the person who's comfortable with conflict, who doesn't care about others' feelings, who's okay with imbalance or injustice, or who doesn't value beauty and harmony. That's not your nature and doesn't need to be. But this month is asking you hard questions. Can you make decisions without needing universal approval? Can you maintain relationships without losing yourself? Can you create harmony that includes honoring your own truth? Can you be fair to everyone including yourself? Can you express disagreement without fearing abandonment? Can you be alone without feeling incomplete? Can you know what you want independent of what others want? This month is testing whether you've matured enough to use your gifts from a place of self-knowledge rather than self-abandonment. Whether you can be diplomatic without being inauthentic, harmonious without being conflict avoidant, fair without being self-sacrificing, charming without being performative, partnership-oriented without being codependent. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will show you how to navigate January's potent energy in ways that honor your Libra nature while also strengthening you beyond your current limitations. By February 1st, you won't just see all sides, you'll choose your side with confidence. You won't just keep peace, you'll create authentic harmony that includes your truth. You won't just maintain relationships, you'll know who you are both within and outside them. You won't just be liked, you'll be known and genuinely connected. The cosmic setup. Why January 2026 is engineered for Libra's self-discovery. Let me be crystal clear. January 2026 isn't just another month of relationship focus and aesthetic appreciation for Libra. This is a rare cosmic configuration where Venus, your ruling planet, moves through positions that simultaneously enhance your natural gifts while forcing you to confront the ways you've been abandoning yourself in pursuit of harmony, approval, and partnership. Venus begins January in positions that amplify your magnetism, aesthetic sense, and relationship abilities. People are drawn to you. Opportunities for connection, creativity, and beauty abound. But Venus is also asking hard questions. Do you actually know what you find beautiful, or do you defer to others' taste? Do you know what you want in relationships, or do you mirror what partners want? Do you have your own preferences, or do you just adopt whatever keeps harmony? Early January's energy demands. Who are you underneath all the accommodation, adjustment, and performance? When you've removed the desire to please everyone, the fear of conflict, the need to be liked, and the compulsive balancing of everyone else's needs, what remains? Do you even know? This question might create existential anxiety for Libra. Your identity is so intertwined with relationships, others' perceptions, and maintaining harmony that independent selfhood can feel foreign or even threatening. But January insists, you must find your center. You can't build authentic relationships from a foundation of self-abandonment. Around mid-January, planetary shifts create circumstances that force decisions. You can't keep all options open indefinitely. You can't keep everyone happy. You can't avoid choosing. Situations arise that require you to pick a side, express an opinion, make a commitment, or disappoint someone. All things Libra desperately wants to avoid. Mars continues teaching you about healthy assertion and anger. Libra often suppresses anger because it feels unharmonious and might create conflict. But suppressed anger becomes passive aggression, resentment, or explosion. January shows you that expressing anger directly and constructively actually creates more authentic harmony than suppressing it to maintain false peace. Saturn is teaching you about self-worth and values. You've been learning that your worth isn't conditional on being liked, maintaining harmony, or keeping everyone happy. That having strong opinions and boundaries doesn't make you difficult or selfish. It makes you authentic and respectable. Jupiter is expanding your communication and learning sectors. This means opportunities to express your actual thoughts and opinions, to learn about subjects you find interesting, and to connect with siblings, neighbors, or community in more authentic ways. Pluto has recently moved into Aquarius, beginning long-term transformation of your creativity, romance, and self-expression sectors. This influence unfolds over years, but January 2026 is when you first feel the shift. Your understanding of authentic self-expression, creative truth, and romantic authenticity is ready to evolve beyond people-pleasing patterns. The cosmic conditions are perfectly aligned to push you toward authentic selfhood and decisive action. The question is, are you ready to disappoint some people in service of being true to yourself? January 1st to 10th. Identity excavation and preference. Discover. The first 10 days of January are designed for deep introspection, excavating your actual self from underneath layers of accommodation and people-pleasing. This is uncomfortable for Libra because you're used to defining yourself relationally and externally rather than internally and independently. Use these first 10 days for honest self-examination focused on discovering who you actually are versus who you've been performing to be. The preference excavation. For 1 week, track every time you asked your preference, opinion, or choice. Notice how you respond. Do you deflect? I don't mind. What do you want? Defer. Or give an answer you think the asker wants to hear rather than your truth. Libra often doesn't know your own preferences because you've spent so long accommodating others. You've become so skilled at reading what others want and providing it that you've lost touch with your own desires. Practice. When asked preference, pause before answering. Check in with yourself. What do I actually want? Not what would make them happy. Not what seems most harmonious. Not what's most diplomatic. What do I genuinely prefer? Then express that preference clearly without apologizing or hedging. Start small. Food preferences, activity choices, aesthetic opinions. Build the muscle of knowing and expressing what you want. The opinion audit. What are your actual opinions on important topics? Not what you think you should believe. Not what your friends or partner believe. Not what seems most balanced. What do you actually think? Libra can argue any side of any issue brilliantly because you genuinely see multiple perspectives. But this ability becomes problem when you have no grounded center, when you're intellectual mercenary who can defend any position but believes in none. Choose 5 to 10 topics that matter. For each one, journal. What do I actually believe? Why? What values inform this belief? Am I willing to express this opinion even if others disagree? You might discover you don't have strong opinions on some things. That's fine. Not everything requires opinion. But you probably do have beliefs you've been hiding to avoid conflict or maintain harmony. The relationship identity assessment. Who are you outside relationships? Libra often defines self through partnerships. You're someone's partner, friend, colleague. But who are you independently? Journal. What do I enjoy alone? What are my interests that have nothing to do with others? What makes me happy independent of anyone else's presence or approval? What would I do with my life if I had no relationships to consider? These questions might create anxiety. Libra fears being alone so intensely that you might not have developed independent identity. January asks you to build one. You can value relationships while also being complete person independently. The people-pleasing inventory. List situations where you people-please, saying yes when you want to say no, hiding opinions to avoid disagreement, adjusting yourself to fit others' expectations, performing versions of yourself designed to be liked, or sacrificing your needs to maintain harmony. Be ruthlessly honest. Libra people-pleasing is often so automatic you don't even notice it. You've convinced yourself you're being considerate or keeping peace, when you're actually abandoning yourself. Identify the top 3 to 5 people-pleasing patterns. These become focus for change this month. The conflict avoidance assessment. What conflicts are you avoiding? What difficult conversations need to happen? What anger are you suppressing? What boundaries need to be set? What truths need to be spoken? Libra will tolerate significant discomfort, injustice, or unhappiness to avoid conflict. You've convinced yourself that avoiding conflict creates harmony. Actually, avoiding conflict creates false peace built on suppression and inauthenticity, which eventually explodes or implodes. List conflicts you're avoiding. You don't have to address them immediately, but you need to acknowledge they exist and are costing you. The decision paralysis audit. What decisions have you been avoiding? Libra can deliberate endlessly, weighing pros and cons, considering all angles, seeking more information, anything to avoid actually deciding. List decisions you've been postponing. Then honestly assess, is more deliberation actually helpful? Or are you avoiding deciding because any choice means foreclosing other options, disappointing someone, or potentially being wrong? Usually it's the latter. January teaches you that making imperfect decisions is better than making no decisions. You can course correct if needed, but you can't live life stuck in perpetual deliberation. The codependence check. Are your relationships codependent? Signs include not knowing who you are outside the relationship, feeling incomplete when alone, inability to make decisions without partner's input, taking responsibility for partner's emotions or happiness, suppressing your own needs to maintain relationship, or staying in unsatisfying relationships rather than be alone. Libra is particularly prone to codependence because you're partnership-oriented and harmony-seeking. But healthy partnership requires 2 whole people choosing connection, not 2 halves desperately clinging to feel complete. Assess honestly, can you be happy alone? Or do you need relationship to feel okay? There's difference between preferring partnership and needing it to feel complete. The aesthetic authenticity check. What's your actual aesthetic? Not what's trendy, not what interior designers recommend, not what looks balanced and harmonious in generic sense. What beauty genuinely speaks to you? Libra often creates aesthetically pleasing spaces and personal style, but it might not actually reflect your authentic taste. You might be performing good taste rather than expressing genuine preference. Explore what colors, textures, styles, art, music, environments genuinely resonate with you. Create mood board or collection that reflects your authentic aesthetic, not universal beauty standards. By January 10th, you should have awareness of preference habits, clarity about actual opinions, understanding of independent identity, recognition of people-pleasing patterns, acknowledgement of avoided conflicts, list of postponed decisions, assessment of codependence, and connection to authentic aesthetic. This self-knowledge is foundation for everything else. January 11 to 20. Decisive action and authentic expression. Around January 13th to 15th, the energy shifts dramatically from introspection to action. This is when you stop analyzing and start doing, making decisions you've been avoiding, having conversations you've been postponing, expressing opinions you've been hiding, and setting boundaries you've been neglecting. For Libra, this period is simultaneously liberating and terrifying. Taking decisive action means disappointing someone, creating potential conflict, foreclosing options, and being visible in your truth. All things that make you deeply uncomfortable. January says, do them anyway. The decision sprint. Remember those decisions you listed early month? Now make them. Not perfectly, just decide. Choose one option, commit to it, and stop deliberating. You'll never have perfect information. Every choice has pros and cons. Any path means not taking other paths. This is life. Decide anyway. Practice. When faced with decision, give yourself reasonable but limited deliberation time, gather relevant information, consider key factors, then decide. Not when you're 100% certain, but when you have enough information to make reasonable choice. Then, crucial part, commit to the decision without second-guessing. You can course-correct later if needed, but constantly questioning decisions after making them just creates more paralysis. The opinion expression. Those opinions you identified early month? Start expressing them. In conversations, when asked, don't default to "I see both sides" or "it's complicated." State your actual view clearly that you can acknowledge complexity and still have opinion. This is complex issue with many valid perspectives, and my view is, both honors your ability to see multiple angles and expresses your actual stance. Practice starting sentences with "I think," "I believe," "my view is," or "I disagree." These phrases feel aggressive to harmony-seeking Libra, but they're actually just normal self-expression that you'll fear judgment, conflict, or being disliked. Express opinions anyway. You'll discover that most people actually respect clear opinions more than constant fence-sitting. Disagreement doesn't destroy relationships, and expressing your truth attracts people who actually resonate with real you versus performed version. The boundary setting. Those people-pleasing patterns you identified? Start setting boundaries to interrupt them. This means saying no to requests that don't work for you, expressing when something bothers you, not adjusting yourself constantly to fit others, asking for what you need, and disappointing people when necessary. Start with lower-stakes boundaries to build confidence, then work up to more significant ones. Each time you set boundary and survive, it becomes slightly easier. You'll feel guilty. You'll worry you're being selfish or difficult. Set boundaries anyway. Healthy people respect boundaries. People who don't respect them were taking advantage of your lack of them. The conflict initiation. Those avoided conflicts. Time to address them. Not aggressively, but clearly and directly. We need to talk about is brave, not mean. Libra dreads conflict so intensely you'll try to talk yourself out of this. Reminders: unresolved conflict doesn't disappear, it festers. Suppressing legitimate concerns doesn't create harmony, it creates resentment. Addressing issues directly is more respectful than passive-aggressive hints. Approach conflicts with goal of resolution, not winning or maintaining false peace. Express your perspective clearly, listen to theirs, work toward genuine understanding. This creates authentic harmony versus suppression-based peace. The anger expression. Libra often suppresses anger because it feels unharmonious. But anger is valid emotion that signals boundaries being violated or needs being unmet. Expressing anger constructively is healthy. When angry, notice it. Acknowledge it to yourself. Then express it directly. I'm angry about because. No attacking, blaming, or manipulating, just clear expression of feeling and need. You'll fear anger will destroy relationships or make you unlikable. Actually, appropriate anger expression in healthy relationships leads to resolution and deeper understanding. Relationships that can't handle any anger aren't healthy relationships. The solo activities. Spend significant time alone mid-month. Not just physical alone, but truly solo activities where you're exploring your own interests without accommodating anyone else. What do you enjoy? What makes you happy independent of others? Do those things. This builds independent identity and proves you can be content without constant partnership or social connection. You might feel lonely or anxious. Sit with these feelings rather than immediately filling them with company or relationship seeking. Learn that you can be alone without being lonely, that you're a complete person independently. The authentic self-presentation. Stop performing. In social situations, be more authentic. Express actual thoughts. Show actual personality. Talk about what genuinely interests you, and let people see real you. This feels vulnerable. You're so used to performing pleasing versions of yourself that authenticity feels like social suicide. Actually, authenticity attracts genuine connection. People tired of surface-level charm want to know the real you. You might be less universally liked. That's okay. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You need to be known and genuinely liked by people who resonate with your authentic self. The creative expression. Create something that expresses your aesthetic, vision, and perspective, not what you think is universally beautiful or harmonious. Paint, write, design, photograph, make music, whatever medium calls to you. To create from your truth, not from desire to please or impress. Create what genuinely speaks to you even if it's not conventionally beautiful or doesn't fit your usual aesthetic. This might produce work that's less polished or harmonious than your usual output. That's fine. Authenticity matters more than perfection. The relationship reassessment. Mid-month. Observe your relationships with new awareness. Which ones allow authentic you? Which ones require performance and self-suppression? Which ones are genuinely reciprocal? Which ones are one-sided with you doing all accommodating? You don't have to end anything immediately, but gather information. Healthy relationships should allow mutual authenticity, not require one person to constantly adjust. By January 20th, you should have made several decisions you'd been avoiding, expressed actual opinions, set clear boundaries, initiated necessary conflicts, expressed anger appropriately, spent meaningful time alone, presented authentic self socially, created authentic art, and observed relationship dynamics honestly. You should feel both vulnerable and liberated. January 21 to 31, integration, commitment, and sustainable authenticity. The final third of January tests whether mid-month's growth was temporary enthusiasm or sustainable change. Will you maintain boundaries when people push back? Will you stick with decisions when doubt creeps in? Will you continue expressing truth when harmony-seeking impulses return? Late January is where you prove your commitment to authentic selfhood versus sliding back into familiar people-pleasing and indecision patterns. Decision commitment. You made decisions mid-month. Now resist the temptation to endlessly reconsider them. Libra tends to decide, then immediately second-guess, then consider reversing decision, creating constant instability. Practice. Once decided, commit. Barring new significant information that genuinely changes the situation, stick with your choice. Let decision stand. See how it unfolds rather than constantly questioning whether different choice would have been better. You can learn from every decision, whether it works out or not. But you can't learn anything if you never commit long enough to see results. Boundary maintenance. Boundaries you set mid-month will be tested. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries will push back. They'll guilt you, manipulate you, get angry, or simply ignore boundaries hoping you'll cave. Maintain boundaries firmly. I understand you're disappointed, but my answer is still no. I hear that you're upset, but this boundary is important to me. Repeat as necessary. Some people will adjust and respect boundaries. Others will leave or dramatically reduce contact. Both outcomes give you important information about whether relationships were based on genuine connection or on you being endlessly accommodating. Conflict resolution follow-through. Conflicts you initiated mid-month need follow-through now. Did you reach actual resolution? Or did you back down to restore harmony prematurely? Are agreed-upon changes actually happening? Or is everyone pretending conversation never occurred? Real conflict resolution requires follow-through. Check-in. Hold people accountable to commitments. Address issues if they resurface. Don't let things slide back to old dysfunctional patterns just to avoid more conflict. Authentic relating sustainment. Continue being authentic in relationships rather than sliding back into performance. Keep expressing actual thoughts, feelings, needs, and opinions even when it's uncomfortable. Also notice which relationships are deepening through your authenticity. Which ones are struggling or distancing. This information matters. Relationships that can't handle authentic you aren't relationships worth maintaining. Solo time integration. Make regular alone time ongoing practice, not just January experiment. Schedule it like important appointment. Protect it when people want your time or company. You need regular solo time to stay connected to yourself, to develop independent identity, to process your own thoughts and feelings without constant external input. Without it, you'll slip back into defining yourself relationally. Opinion ownership. By late January, you should be more comfortable having and expressing opinions. Continue this. Speak up in meetings. Contribute your perspective in conversations. State your preferences clearly. You'll still see multiple perspectives. That's gift. But you can see multiple perspectives while also having your own clear stance. I understand that viewpoint, and I disagree because honors complexity while claiming your truth. The disappointing people is okay. Integration. You probably disappointed some people this month by setting boundaries, making decisions they didn't like, expressing disagreement, or prioritizing yourself. And disappointing people sometimes is inevitable and acceptable. You can't keep everyone happy. Trying to do so just means losing yourself while probably still disappointing people. Healthy people understand and accept disappointment. Unhealthy people use guilt and manipulation when disappointed. Distinguish between these responses. Relationship reciprocity assessment. By month's end, you should have clearer sense of which relationships are genuinely reciprocal versus which ones require you to do all accommodating, compromising, and adjusting. For relationships that are one-sided, have direct conversation about needing more reciprocity, or consciously reduce investment in relationships that aren't mutual. You can't change others, but you can change how much energy you invest where it's not reciprocated. Creative authenticity continuation. Keep creating from authentic self-expression. Make this regular practice, weekly or daily creative time where you express your genuine aesthetic, perspective, and vision. Creation is practice in claiming your truth, making choices, and expressing independent perspective. All things Libra needs practice in planning February realistically. As January closes, plan February based on January's lessons. What practices need to continue? What growth deserves sustained attention? What challenges will test your commitment to authenticity? Libra-specific planning. Anticipate situations where you'll be tempted to people-please, avoid conflict, or deliberate endlessly. How will you handle these based on January's growth? What support or accountability do you need? By January 31st, you should feel clearer about who you are, more comfortable with your own company, confident expressing opinions and needs, able to make decisions without agonizing, and surrounded by relationships that allow authenticity. You shouldn't feel lost in indecision, defined entirely by relationships, suppressing yourself constantly to maintain harmony, or paralyzed by fear of disappointing anyone. Relationships deep dive. From codependence to authentic partnership. Let's talk honestly about Libra in relationships, because this is simultaneously where you're most gifted and most challenged. Your relationship pattern probably looks like this. You meet someone and immediately start adjusting yourself to fit them. You read their preferences and mirror them. You suppress aspects of yourself that might create discord. You become incredibly attuned to their moods, needs, and desires while losing touch with your own. You work hard to maintain harmony even when it requires constant self-sacrifice. You believe this is love and partnership. You expect that your devotion and accommodation will create lasting harmony and deep connection. But often what happens? You lose yourself so completely in accommodating them that you don't know who you are anymore. You resent them for making you sacrifice yourself. The relationship feels unbalanced because you're doing all the adjusting. They might even lose respect for you because you have no boundaries or backbone. The harmony you worked so hard to maintain feels hollow because it's based on your inauthenticity. Then you feel confused and hurt. You gave so much. Why isn't it working? Why do you feel lonely even in partnership? Why are they not satisfied when you've done everything to please them? January 2026 is ending this pattern. For single Libra, when you meet someone interesting, resist the automatic impulse to become who you think they want. Instead, be who you actually are. Show your authentic self from the beginning. Your actual opinions, preferences, interests, quirks. Yes, even the parts that might not be universally appealing. If they are not compatible with real you, better to discover that early rather than after you've built relationship on false foundation. Also, resist the urge to move too quickly into partnership. Libra hates being single so much that you often rush into relationships without properly vetting compatibility. Slow down. Get to know them. Stay connected to yourself and your own life while exploring connection. Don't merge immediately. Practice. Maintain your own interests, friends, and activities even as relationship develops. Don't abandon your life to become part of theirs. Healthy partnership is two complete people choosing connection, not two halves merging into one. For coupled Libra, you've been with your partner for months or years. January asks, does your partner actually know you? Or do they know the accommodating, harmonious version you perform? Do you express your actual needs, feelings, and desires? Or do you suppress them to keep peace? Start being more authentic. Express what you actually think and feel. State your needs clearly. Disagree when you disagree. Stop pretending everything is fine when it's not. This will feel like relationship risk. What if they don't like real you? Here's truth. If they only like the performed version and can't handle authentic you, the relationship is built on false foundation and won't ultimately satisfy you anyway. Better to know now. Real intimacy requires mutual authenticity. Your partner probably wants to know real you. They might even be frustrated by your constant accommodation and inability to express genuine preferences. Give them chance to love authentic you. The conflict phobia. Libra will tolerate significant unhappiness to avoid conflict. You suppress legitimate concerns, ignore boundary violations, and swallow anger to maintain surface harmony. This doesn't actually create harmony. It creates false peace that eventually collapses under accumulated resentment. Healthy relationships include conflict. It's how you navigate differences, address problems, and grow together. Practice. Address small issues before they become big resentments. Can we talk about something that's bothering me? Is healthy communication, not relationship threat. Express concerns directly rather than hoping partner will telepathically understand. Most healthy relationships can handle and even benefit from respectful conflict. If your partner can't tolerate any disagreement or gets defensive about any concern, that's information about them, not evidence you should suppress yourself. The decision delegation. Do you make decisions together? Or do you always defer to partner's preference? Libra often delegates decisions to partners: what to do, where to live, how to spend money, how to raise children, because deciding means potential disagreement. This creates resentment and prevents genuine partnership. Share decision-making. Express your preferences. Advocate for what matters to you. Compromise where appropriate, but don't default to their preference on everything. The identity preservation. Do you maintain independent identity within relationship? Or have you merged so completely that you don't know where you end and partner begins? Do you have your own friends, interests, and activities? Or is everything shared? Healthy partnership includes both togetherness and separateness. You need your own life, your own identity, your own interests. This doesn't threaten relationship, it strengthens it by ensuring both people remain interesting, whole individuals. If you've lost yourself in relationship, start reclaiming, reconnect with old friends, pursue solo interests, spend time alone, develop your own opinions and preferences. You can love someone fully while also being complete person independently. The approval addiction. Do you need partner's constant approval? Do their moods determine your emotional state? Do you feel okay only when they are happy with you? This is codependence, not love. Your emotional well-being can't be entirely dependent on partner's approval or mood. Work on validating yourself, managing your own emotions, maintaining self-worth independent of their opinion, and recognizing you can't control their happiness. The I need you to be happy trap. Do you take responsibility for partner's happiness? Do you believe if you just do enough, adjust enough, sacrifice enough, they'll be happy and relationship will be perfect? You're not responsible for partner's happiness. They are responsible for their own emotional well-being. You can support and love them, but you can't fix or manage their emotions. Trying to do so creates exhausting dynamic where you're constantly working to manage someone else's inner state while neglecting your own. The compatibility versus chemistry distinction. Libra can stay in incompatible relationships trying to create harmony through adjustment rather than accepting fundamental incompatibility. You convince yourself that if you just try harder, communicate better, or adjust more, it will work. Sometimes relationships don't work not because anyone is doing anything wrong, but because you're fundamentally incompatible. Different values, different life visions, different needs. No amount of adjustment fixes incompatibility. January asks, is this relationship actually compatible? Or are you just working really hard to force harmony with someone fundamentally wrong for you? If latter, letting go is kindest choice for both of you. By January 31st, your relationship should feel more authentic, more balanced, allowing your true self, including healthy conflict, and characterized by genuine reciprocity. They shouldn't feel requiring constant performance, one-sided with you doing all accommodating, conflict-free but emotionally distant, or leaving you feeling unknown and unseen. Career mastery, decisive leadership and authentic collaboration professionally. January 2026 is about leveraging your considerable diplomatic and collaborative gifts while developing the decisiveness and self-advocacy Libra often lacks in work contexts. Libra career strengths are real. You're diplomatic, collaborative, excellent at seeing multiple perspectives, skilled at mediation and negotiation, good at creating aesthetically pleasing work and environments, fair-minded, and talented at bringing people together. Libra career challenges are also real. You might struggle with decisions, avoid necessary conflicts, people please at expense of your own advancement, undersell your value, take too long deliberating when action is needed, or overcompromise trying to keep everyone happy. January is when you leverage strengths while addressing challenges. Decisive leadership. Libra often avoids leadership because it requires making decisions that won't please everyone and navigating conflicts. But you're actually well-suited to leadership. You're fair, considerate, collaborative. Develop more decisive leadership, gather input from relevant parties, consider key factors, then actually decide within reasonable time frame. Not when you're 100% certain, but when you have enough information to make sound choice. Then, crucial, commit to decision and communicate it clearly. You can adjust if new information emerges, but don't waffle or constantly second-guess. Teams need clear direction, not endless deliberation. Conflict navigation. professional conflicts are inevitable. Client disputes, team disagreements, budget battles, competing priorities. Libra tends to avoid or overcompromise, which rarely creates best outcomes. Develop better conflict skills. Address issues directly when they arise. Express your position clearly. Listen to other perspectives. Work toward genuine resolution. And recognize that productive conflict often leads to better solutions than false harmony. Self-advocacy. You probably undersell your value. Don't negotiate effectively. Let others take credit for your contributions, or avoid asking for raises, promotions you deserve. Practice self-advocacy. Document your accomplishments. Know your market value. Ask for appropriate compensation. Claim credit for your work. Speak up about your contributions in meetings, and promote yourself appropriately. Waiting to be noticed rarely works. Advocate for yourself clearly and confidently. Timely decision-making. Professional contexts often require faster decisions than Libra prefers. You can't deliberate for weeks about every choice when colleagues need direction or clients need responses. Develop decision frameworks. For routine decisions, create default processes so you're not starting from scratch each time. For significant decisions, set reasonable deadlines for deliberation, then commit. Get comfortable with good enough decisions rather than holding out for perfect clarity. Aesthetic and design contributions. Your aesthetic sense and eye for beauty are valuable professionally. Whether in design fields or just creating pleasant work environments and materials, leverage this gift. But also, trust your aesthetic judgment rather than endlessly seeking validation. You probably know what looks good. Make choices and commit to them rather than seeking everyone's approval. Collaborative excellence. You excel at collaboration, mediation, and bringing people together. Lean into this strength while avoiding over-accommodation. In collaborative settings, contribute your perspectives clearly. Don't just facilitate others. Speak up about what will and won't work. Maintain boundaries around your time and responsibilities. And recognize collaboration means everyone contributes, not just you doing extra work to keep peace. What to avoid professionally. Don't deliberate so long on decisions that opportunities pass. Don't avoid necessary conflicts hoping they'll resolve themselves. Don't undersell yourself or accept being undervalued. Don't take on everyone else's work trying to maintain harmony. Don't suppress your own ideas to avoid potential disagreement. By January 31st professionally, you should have made decisions more efficiently, addressed necessary conflicts, advocated for yourself effectively, contributed your aesthetic gifts, collaborated without over-accommodating, and gained recognition for your value. You should feel appropriately valued, making meaningful impact, and leading with confidence rather than indecision. Final integration. Becoming the sovereign Libra you're meant to be. January 2026 wasn't just a month, it was self-discovery. You've done brave work excavating authentic self from beneath layers of people-pleasing and performance, making decisions you've been avoiding, expressing truths you've been hiding, and choosing yourself even when it meant disappointing others. This is profound transformation. Libra doesn't easily develop independent identity or prioritize self. You're wired for partnership and harmony. But you've done it. Honor this courage. By January 31st, honest reflection, identity clarity. Do you have clearer sense of who you are independent of relationships? Can you articulate your preferences, opinions, values, and desires? Or do you still feel like mirror reflecting others? Decision confidence. Can you make decisions more readily? Can you commit without endless second-guessing? Or does indecision still paralyze you? Boundary sustainability. Have you maintained boundaries you set? How have people responded? Who respects them? Who doesn't? What does this tell you? Authentic expression. Are you being more authentic, expressing actual thoughts, feelings, needs? Or do you still default to performance and people-pleasing? Solo comfort. Can you be alone without anxiety? Can you enjoy solo activities? Or do you still feel incomplete without partnership? Look ahead to February with grounded clarity. Based on January's foundation, what practices need to continue? What growth deserves sustained attention? What will test your commitment to authentic selfhood? Anticipate Libra traps, situations requiring decisions, potential conflicts, opportunities to people-please, or relationship challenges. How will you handle these based on January's growth? Most importantly, recognize that you can value harmony while also honoring your truth. You can be diplomatic while also being authentic. You can maintain relationships while also being an independent person. You can keep peace while also setting boundaries. You're Libra. You're built for beauty, balance, partnership, and creating harmony. January 2026 showed you how to embody these gifts from authentic center rather than from self-abandonment. Now sustain what you've built. The grace remains. The diplomacy stays sharp. but the people-pleasing ends. The indecision lifts, the performance stops, and you discover that authentic Libra, decisive, boundaried, self-aware, creates far deeper harmony and connection than performing ever could. Libra, I need to hear from you. What's the only decision you're finally making this month? Or what's the only boundary you're setting? Or what's the only truth you're claiming about yourself? Drop it in the comments. Declaring it publicly creates accountability and makes it real. And listen, if this reading spoke to your harmony-seeking heart while calling out your people-pleasing patterns, if you felt seen in ways that were uncomfortable but necessary, if you're ready to choose yourself even when it disappoints others, then do 3 things right now. Hit that like button so other Libras can find this self-discovery roadmap. Subscribe so you never miss cosmic guidance designed for your diplomatic, beauty-loving soul. And turn on notifications so February's forecast reaches you immediately. Also, share this with your Libra friends, family, or loved ones. They need this permission to choose themselves too. Send it to that Libra who can't make decisions, who people pleases constantly, who doesn't know who they are outside relationships. January 2026 is Libra's month to prove that the most partnership-oriented, harmony-seeking sign can be whole, decisive, and authentic while still creating genuine connection and beauty. Are you ready to find your center?